Hello, welcome to the stream. 10 minutes later than scheduled. Sorry about that, but here we are. Game week 17, one day, 16 hours away. My plan is actually to save a transfer ahead of game week 17. I used all of the AFCON transfers ahead of game week 16, so my plan is to hopefully be able to save a transfer. I have a couple of flagged players, but let's see. Need to refresh this. When did Timber get flagged? Timber is not flagged at the moment. It was just an old browser. So at the moment, it's only Thiago from my team. I had Rice, Timber flagged ahead of game week 16. So that's the reason why they were flagged. Sorry about that. FPL FOMO evening, Crystal Palace playing a complete reserve team tonight. I think Lesnar actually said this a couple of weeks ago that he would play only reserves in the Europa Conference League. They should still win this game, right? Not sure about the quality of their opponents. They're from Finland, right? FPL Hippie, good evening, folks. Thanks for joining in. Good evening. So at least if you have any Crystal Palace players, they're safe and will not get injured in the Europa Conference League tonight. I jumped a million rank last game week. So happy. Wow, 1 million. That's really, really good. So there were some really high scores in game week 16. I have seen a couple of FPL managers joining the 100 club in game week 16 over at X as well. FPL FOMO, I saw that you got a green arrow even though Erling Haaland actually scored, so that's well done. The only transfer I might do this week is to sell Thiago. If he is confirmed to be out, if you get this information tomorrow, I will probably consider to sell Thiago myself, even though I actually have Elliot Anderson on my bench. He is a decent replacement, playing away against Fulham. Not the best fixture, but at the same time, not the worst. FPL Hippie, I've posted my team on here if you'd care to review it. Taking a -8 team value, 106.5 million. Wow, that's a really strong team value, 106.5 and rank 2.7. So if you're interested in having your team reviewed like FPL Hippie, head over to X, post a picture of your team under my latest post, and we'll get it up on the screen. So made 2 transfers this game week. Harry Wilson in, Gravenberch as well. I think Gravenberch can be a good differential. His minutes are assured, and Liverpool have some very interesting matches coming up. Please help me out on choosing my starting 11. Let's have a look. So with this team is Petrovic starting in goal. Petrovic against Burnley. I think it makes sense actually starting Petrovic this game week. I talked about Petrovic in my free hit video ahead of game week 17 as well. I think it's a really good fixture for Bournemouth. So I think I would go for the differential goalkeeper out of Petrovic and Raya, especially seeing that you have Timber already. Makes sense to give Raya a rest. Thiago on the bench. Gravenberch, you're a new signing, I think. I'm talking about the wrong team, obviously. This is mine from Aishan Trucks, FPL Hippie. I'm not on X, I posted on here on my channel. On here. I saw your free draft, that's why I'm playing Petrovic. Yeah, I think it's a really good game for Bournemouth. I think this team looks really good. Makes sense benching Thiago, seeing that you have a strong front eight at the moment. Erling Haaland captain, I will probably go there myself. Wilson is in. Bruno Guimaraes, Phil Foden, Bruno Fernandes, Ekitike. A lot of interesting players. I'm a bit jealous about having Ekitike and Wilson, to be honest. I could do something like Thiago to Ekitike myself, but I would have to downgrade another midfielder to Wilson, so not really sure if it's worth a -4 for my own team, but I think this team looks really good. Hopefully a new green arrow in game week 17. 1 million green arrow in game week 16. Wow, that's well done. FPL Hippie, I'm not on exposed to my team on here, so is that like on your own YouTube channel? I think I need to look it up. Or is it in the chat? I'm not really sure how to find your team, FPL Hippie, but let me know and we'll get it up on the screen. FPL Hippie on YouTube. Give me a minute. Oops. This is FPL Hippie's team. Sanchez in goal. I have to scroll a bit down to see the bench as well. So The question was which players should be benched ahead of game week 17. Sanchez is in goal. Dubravka. I have actually the same goalkeeper combination with Sanchez and Dubravka. I think that Dubravka probably has the better fixture playing at home against Fulham. But I will definitely start Sanchez myself. Timber, Rice, both flagged. So this is probably the same issue I had when I started this stream. Old pictures of Timber, Rice, they are both fine. Thiago is the one that's actually yellow flagged at the moment. So we have Lacroix on the bench playing against Man City, Esri Kansa, and Dewsbury Hall. I think I would play Esri Kansa against West Ham instead of Guehi, to be honest, especially seeing that you have both Erling Haaland and Phil Foden. I've taken a -8. Yeah, you actually said that. I've taken a -8. Kansa to Dalot, Kieran Dewsbury Hall to Deveni, Volkmade to Ekitike. Wow, interesting. So Ekitike, definitely he is in your starting 11. Deveni on the bench. So Deveni is a 4.3 midfield fodder. I'm not sure if selling Dewsbury Hall was a really good idea, to be honest. Not the best fixture for Everton in game week 17, but I'm actually taking a look at the fixture ticker, and Everton, they have really, really good fixtures from game week 18 and onwards. I'm actually planning to bring in an Everton player. It's never too late, of course, but Dalot in your starting 11. So I would play Dalot instead of Guehi, Deveni, and Lacroix on the bench. Of course, these are game week 16 fixtures. There was something odd about the fixtures and the fact that both Timber and Rice were flagged. Let's see if we can get another picture from FPL Hippie. There we go. Yeah, thanks. I should have known this a bit earlier, I suppose. But this, I'm not sure why your game week 16 team selection was the post on top when I first saw your channel. FPL, that's the 106.5 million in the bank yet. Sorry, so I actually started this stream by showing my game week 16 team, and when I had a look at FPL Hippie's team, I managed to actually find his game week 16 team selection as well. But this is the right one, 106.5 million. And now the transfers are updated. So Deveni on the bench, Chalobah as well, Dubravka on the bench. So I started by saying that I have the same goalkeeper combination with Dubravka and Sanchez. And even though the fixture for Dubravka is probably a bit better compared to Sanchez, I'm starting Sanchez myself. mostly because he actually has done pretty well recently. And Chelsea are definitely a much better defense compared to Burnley. So Guehi, Timber, and O'Reilly in defense. This looks really solid. Bruno Fernandes, Saka, Rice, Phil Foden in midfield, Thiago, Ekitiki, and Erling Haaland. So Dalot is on the bench together with Chalobah and Devaney. I think this team is really strong. I think I would have done the same. I would play Guehi ahead of Dalot, seeing that you already have Sanchez. Consider that the picture is not the best for Chelsea. I don't think I would double up on their defense. And Devaney is only a 4.3 midfield fodder, so he will stay on your bench most game weeks. So really solid team. I will most probably captain Erling Haaland myself. So I think this team looks really solid. You have, I think Dalot is. I haven't really seen Dalot play better than what I've seen from him in the last couple of games for Man United. So having Dalot on the bench in case Thiago misses out. So I think this team is good to go for game week 17. Hello, brother. Just posted my team from Playbill. Hello, thanks for joining in. I will have a look. This was FPL Hippie's team. Took a -8 team value of 106.5, which is actually pretty impressive. Thanks, dude. Game week 19. I'll play him. Yeah, he has looked really good recently. Done well going forward as well. And in game week 19, Man United have one of the best fixtures playing at home against Wolves. So getting Dalot in is probably a good idea, even though you will bench him this game week. You will have him ready for game week 19. So hopefully he will not get injured, of course, in game week 17 or game week 18. Game week 19, I'll play him. Makes sense. So this is Playbell's team. Raya in goal, Anderson, Timber, Collins. I actually really like Collins. I think he's due a big haul, a 15-pointer coming for Collins soon. I was really close to bring in Collins myself ahead of game week 16, but I went for Vandenberg mostly because this gave me enough funds to upgrade Paqueta to Rice. Didn't really work out. Rice, he blanked in the last game week, of course, but I kind of like Vandenberg as well, really. Playbell's team, the defense looks really good. We have Richards on the bench as well, playing away against Leeds. And Michele, I think I would go Anderson, Timber, and Collins myself. So we know that Richards will concede because he will play against Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So No clean sheets for Crystal Palace in game week 17. Makes sense to have Richards on the bench. Saka is in. Vice captain Bruno Fernandes, Minthe, and Semenyo. Phil Foden, and up front the captain Erling Haaland and Thiago. So I think this team looks really good as well. No transfers needed, in my opinion. You have Richards on the bench. So as mentioned, even though he will concede against Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he might pick up defensive contributions. I think this team is set for a green arrow in game week 17. And hopefully for the Minthe owners, he will start producing FPL points again. He has been so close, but he blanked in game week 16. Semenyo, finally, he got another goal. I think Semenyo has been a bit unlucky recently. So at the start of the season, I think Semenyo owners and Semenyo himself was a bit lucky. Every goal went in. From game week 8 to game week 15, he actually was a bit unlucky. Should at least have had some assists to Evan Nilsson, but in game week 16, the 4-4 thriller against Man United, he scored a goal. Pretty nice goal as well, of course. A bit lucky. Poor play from the United defense. I think it was Luke Shaw. Lost possession. Semenyo, he took his chance. Wrote some plans. Let's have a look. Wrote some plans as well. Sent my team to you on Twitter from FPL FOMO. We'll have a look. Let's see what Playbell wrote together with his team. So I will roll the transfer and then get in Michael Keane or Tarkovsky in for Collins. And after that, Cunha in for Saka to free up some funds for future moves. I really like, I talked about this like 5 minutes ago. I really like the Everton fixtures going forward. So really makes sense to at least have one of their defenders. They have some good defenders on offer, like Michael Keane and Tarkovsky. Let's see if we can get this. There we go. Too big. So I will roll the transfer and get in Michael Keane or Tarkovsky in for Collins, and after that Cunha in for Saka to free up some funds for future moves. It will be really interesting to see how Saka does in the next couple of fixtures. I have looked at plans to actually get rid of Saka myself. He is quite expensive, and from game week 21 and onwards, there are some teams with really good fixtures like Chelsea. I would like to have an attacking Chelsea players from game week 21 and selling Saka. I think this will be a really popular strategy. So it might actually be Saka that has to go for players that want to have Cole Palmer in their team going forward. Erling Haaland, I think it makes sense to just keep him at the moment. So Saka, he is like the cash cow if you want players like Cole Palmer. Bruno Fernandes as well, Man United. We have some good fixtures coming up still, so it's probably, if you want to sell Bruno Fernandes, it's probably the next couple of fixtures that's the hardest for Man United. As mentioned in the chat from game week 19, they have really good fixtures once again, playing at home against Wolves. So I would just keep Bruno Fernandes. Hey man, just sent my team with my potential transfers and bench boost. What do you think? From Sunny. We'll have a look, Sunny. Let's start by taking a look at FPL FOMO's team. Also, I think Timber doesn't give me enough value for money. Especially seeing that you already have Raya. I think selling Timber, cashing out makes sense, to be honest. There are some players with good fixtures coming up. Talked about the Everton fixtures myself, so selling Timber to Everton defender Saka could potentially free up some funds as well. This will give you a lot of options going forward. You can potentially do something like Thiago to a more expensive forward. Raya as well. The thing is with goalkeepers, it feels kind of waste using a transfer on a goalkeeper, but of course, if you're able to save up some transfers, you can potentially upgrade your team in other areas, I suppose. Sandri, hi, thanks for joining in. How are you? So this is FPL FOMO's team. I might yet sell Thiago. I fancy Shalaba to score against a weakened Newcastle defense. Let's see. So this is FPL FOMO's team. In goal, I can't fit all of the team, but in goal it's Raya. So it's a double up on Arsenal with Raya and Saka. Double up on Bournemouth as well. Really good fixture. I envy the Bournemouth players ahead of game week 17, to be honest. Really good fixture for Bournemouth playing at home against Burnley. So Senesi and Semenyo. O'Reilly in defense, Phil Foden. So what's special about FPL FOMO's team is that he is playing without Erling Haaland and Mo Salah this season. We've seen that this has given some ups and downs so far. But last couple of game weeks have been really, really good for FPL FOMO. Did you actually reach the top 1 million? Or at least you were pretty close. Cunha, I think Cunha is a really good option at the moment. He looked good against Bournemouth. Could have had more returns in that game. Bruno Fernandes, even though the fixture on paper looks a bit tough for Man United away against Aston Villa, I think they potentially can do well in this one. We have Virgil van Dijk. Can potentially get something against Spurs away. On the bench, Lacroix, Jared Bowen. I think it makes sense benching Jared Bowen, considering that he played away against Man City. So what I potentially would consider is to actually bench O'Reilly and play Jared Bowen. But if you think that Man City can keep a clean sheet, it makes sense. The thing is that if you take a look in the graphic, I just had a look at the game week 17 bookies predictions, and Man City, they are one of the bookies favorites to keep a clean sheet this game week. Let's see. We've actually been given 44% of, or 44% chance of a Man City clean sheet, and that's better than Jared Bowen's anytime goal scorer odds. So starting O'Reilly benching Jared Bowen. Could very well be the right call in game week 17. So Lacroix. You mentioned it yourself. I think the fixture is better for Lacroix compared to Chalobah, but if you think that Chelsea can do well against what you called a weakened Newcastle team, I think, of course, just go for it. Chalobah is more of a differential as well compared to the Crystal Palace defense. And Guiu, he is definitely last on your bench. So hopefully Thiago will be able to play in game week 17. Hopefully he will be able to start. So we had a knock. We've seen this before with Thiago. He hasn't really played any midweek fixtures. So I think that he will play in game week 17. I think Chalobah is more likely to get Defcons, but it's a coin toss. I think it's really close between them. Yeah, if you have a feeling about Chalobah, I would definitely start him in game. My team for this week is Raya, Anderson, Hincapi, Guardiol, Saka, Fernandes, Bruno G, Semenyo, Thiago, and Erling Haaland captain, with Raul Jimenez. 2 free transfers, 1 million in the bank. Thoughts? It kind of depends on the information we get from Brentford tomorrow. As mentioned, I think that Thiago probably will start in game week 17, even though he did not play the midweek fixture in the EFL Cup. And the fact that he is yellow flagged, I think that he will potentially start. So with this team, Anderson, Arsenal defense, and Guardiol, Saka, both Bruno Fernandes, Bruno Guimaraes, and Semenyo. This is a really strong team, to be honest. Raul Jimenez, of course, a bit disappointing. I had Raul as well for game week 16. A bit frustrating. It was really close between Jimenez and Wilson for my own team, but I went for Raul Jimenez and he blanked while Harry Wilson holed. So a bit frustrating, but I will definitely give Raul Jimenez another chance. Hopefully Fulham can get a penalty in game week 17. So Sandri with this team, I would definitely just save my transfer and have 3 free transfers heading into game week 18. Bro, can you help see my team? Let's see, I think that we had another post on X as well from FPL Universe. Let's have a look at that first. So this is FPL Universe team. Sundry value, that's my plan to roll. Yeah, makes sense. It could be really valuable having 3 free transfers. A lot of FPL managers used all of the transfers just like me in game week 16. But this is FPL Universe team. I think it looks solid. We have Raya differential in defense. I think Nunes is a solid option. I think O'Reilly just edges it, but both of them are really good. Guehi against Leeds. Fofana against Newcastle away. Not sure if he is. Let's see. Will Fofana even start? Probably they have some injuries in defense, so he has done well when he's gotten the chance, but is he really nailed on to start week in, week out? Not really sure, but he has done well when he's gotten the chance. In midfield, Phil Foden, Bruno Fernandes, Saka, and Rice. Up front, Thiago, Ikitiki, and Erling Haaland. So I tried to have a look at your picture to see your bench, but I couldn't really find it. I'm not sure if it's even posted, but this starting 11 looks really good. I'm not expecting a clean sheet from Chelsea against Newcastle, but I'm saying this as a Sanchez owner myself, and I will start Sanchez ahead of Dubravka, but Newcastle away, of course, not the easiest fixture, but hopefully Chelsea can continue delivering defensively. So I'm a bit jealous, as mentioned, when I see Ekitiki Spurs away. It's really, really tempting. So without seeing your bench, I think this team is good to go. I would, of course, consider playing another defender instead of Fofana, but it kind of depends on who you actually have on your bench at the moment. This is Milo 8 team. Let's see. Milo 8. Let me know if you're in the chat. So this team has some differentials. Verbruggen. Haven't really seen that many Verbruggen owners recently, but a really good fixture for Brighton in game week 17, playing at home against Sunderland. We know that Sunderland, they have actually 11 players that will or actually have traveled to participate in AFCON. So I think that they potentially can struggle. Sonny Amilovic, nice. Timber, O'Reilly, and Anderson, good fixtures. You can see that you have Vandenberg with a good fixture on the bench as well, playing against Wolves. It makes sense having Thiav on the bench, seeing that he will play against Chelsea. So even though it's at home. Chelsea, they have actually done well recently, so it makes sense having to have second on the bench with Vandenberg. First in line, Wilson, Anthony Gordon, Rice, Saka, Phil Foden. I really like Anthony Gordon. I have actually talked about Anthony Gordon in my team selection video ahead of this game week. So as mentioned, even though the fixture is not the best, I think he will start. He is the first choice penalty taker for Newcastle. He's putting up some decent numbers when you take a look at expected goal involvement. So Anthony Gordon definitely one to keep an eye on. You have Wilson, Rice, Saka, Phil Foden up front, Thiago, and Erling Haaland captain. It would be nice if you see chats as well, people online, not just Twitter. Yeah, I actually have seen the chat. I'm not sure if I responded, but I will have a look at your team as well. It was just the fact that we had some posts on X, and I actually think they were first, so that's the reason why I took a look at Sonny's team first. Sorry about that. Thinking about doing Saka and Thiago and Guiu to Semenyo, Ekitike, and Welbeck, and then bench boost. What do you think? Saka out, Thiago out. You definitely need to do something with Guiu if you want to use your bench boost. The thing is that time is actually running out for the first set of chips, so you have to use it in game week 17, 18, or 19, or the bench boost will go to waste. So I definitely think that sounds like a good plan. Saka he's not essential. We talked about this, right? He's not essential. I think he was my captain in game week 16, but I actually think that he was a bit lucky picking up those 2 assists and getting maximum bonus. So playing away against Everton, Saka, he is definitely not essential. So yeah, Saka, Thiago, he might actually be injured. So if Thiago starts in game week 17, he might see limited minutes. And we know that Guiu, he will definitely see limited minutes. So yeah, Saka, Thiago, and Guiu to Semenyo, Ekitike, and Welbeck. Yeah, Welbeck at home against Sunderland. Talked about this when I saw that you had Verbruggen in goal. So yeah, definitely. I think that this might be the best game week for you to use the bench boost, considering that you might get some injuries, suspensions ahead of game week 18. And it will be hard to field 15 players. So having 15 solid players for game week 17 by doing those moves and playing the bench boosts, I think it definitely makes sense. Let's see. Team ID. I need to go into my own points. I got 78 points in game week 16. I wasn't really satisfied. 2 of my transfers blanked. I had so high hopes for Rice. I actually avoided transferring Collins just to afford the Rice move. Thanks, man. Any other differential striker picks instead of Welbeck? Well, instead of Welbeck, you potentially can bring in Raul Jimenez and Calvert-Lewin, I guess. I had a look at the stats for Calvert-Lewin. He is actually one of the players with the highest expected goal involvement in the last 4 game weeks. So I think that Calvert-Lewin actually is a solid option. Can I have a look on my mini league? I will have a look. Just give me a minute. I will check out another team. First, just need to find the 6-1. $73 points. Shalba 9 points. Nice. So this is the correct team, right? I think this was the correct team. Bro, you have only 8 people watching your channel. You haven't been looking at my team. I came way before, and you say you check who come first. Well, I actually thought that the posts on X, at least that's what I saw first. So if I'm mistaken, I'm terribly sorry. But let's have a quick look at this team while we have it on the screen. There we go. Oops. So a solid game week, not the worst, but overall red arrow, but not the end of the world. Shall I was actually a bit frustrated watching Rice in game week 16. It was my final transfer, my 5th transfer ahead of game week 16. Muted again. Yeah, terribly sorry about that. Munoz, I took him out for O'Reilly, so that's probably a really good transfer. Munoz, he will miss some game weeks. He will drop in price. I think that Munoz, even though if he actually wasn't injured, I think he was someone to consider selling. Muted again. Can I have a look on my mini league? I will have a look. Definitely will. But this team looks solid. So Fault Mother, he is another one to consider selling. Of course, but Munoz is O'Reilly, so we're probably benching one of Anderson or Shalaba in midfield. Django, he is gone. So what's the word on What's the latest on Thiago? I haven't really checked in the last couple of hours, but I don't really expect to get any updated information about his availability tonight. But hopefully we will get some concrete news tomorrow. So I think, seeing that you have made a transfer with Munoz, I would actually consider doing something with Django Otara as well. Potentially you can just bench Django and bring in someone like Dewsbury Hall in game week 18. Do I start Foltmother or Anderson? I would definitely start Foltmother. I have Anderson myself, but he is first on my bench. I think he's a decent option to have on the bench, but I wouldn't really be satisfied if I had to start Elliot Anderson week in, week out. But he will do well in some game weeks, seeing that he actually is on set pieces for Nottingham Forest, and he will continue picking up defensive contributions. But 4 points, it's close to what we can get, what we can expect from Elliot Anderson at these points. So my advice would be to start Foltmother, even though playing against Chelsea is of course not the easiest fixture considering their defensive form, but he will most probably start up front. He's second in line for penalties for Newcastle, and it's at the St. James's Park, so yeah, I would start Foltmother. This is Sandri's team. Donny, sell or keep Thiago? I think we should definitely keep him at least until tomorrow. I think we will get some more information about his availability tomorrow. So if he's out, I think he's a sell. But if he's not confirmed to be out, I think that he definitely is a keep. Solid fixture for Thiago in game week 17. So I think it kind of depends on what information we get on the press conference tomorrow. MMA clips. Started Joe Pedro or Cucurella against Newcastle. I think I would go Joe Pedro, considering that he most probably will play up front. He was rested last game as well. So yeah, Joe Pedro ahead of Cucurella. I can actually see Chelsea concede against Newcastle, even though I will start Sanchez ahead of Dubravka. Can you rate my team? Yes. Head over to X and post a picture of your team. I can definitely give it a look. So this was 75 points, green arrow in game week 16. This was the cap we knew. Sandri still the best player in this league. 75 points. The runner-up had 60, 964 points for Sandri. It's a solid lead. So leading this by 75 points, and that's actually the same amount of points you actually got in game week 16. Solid, well done, and hopefully you will win this thing. So let me know what's actually online for this league. Is there like a cash league or colleagues playing for fame? A friends league. Let's see if we can fit this team in as well. Double world champion, consecutive, looking for the third title in a row. With 75 points lead, it's probably doable to have another win in this league. Trying to figure out how to fit this image into the screen. Just give me a minute, maybe. I need to drop the goalkeepers. Oops, that's a bit too much. Where is this picture taken from? That's my team. Sorry for not cropping it properly. That's fine. It's probably not sure why, but it's kind of hard fitting it into a screen. Will probably be better if I just do this. The quality will not be the best, but at least we will have the full team in focus. Rank 15k, that's my team. Sorry for not cropping it properly. That's fine. We'll give it a look. Frank Golding as well. Thanks for joining in. Should I do Fault Mother 2 Ekitiki this week for a -4? As I can't afford it if I don't do it tonight due to price changes. Yeah, considering the fixtures, that's probably worth a -4. Alexander Isak, not in his best form. We have Gakpo injured as well, so if Alexander Isak will get a start, I think Ekitiki definitely will start on the left. So he's close to nailed on for Liverpool at the moment. So considering his form, I would say go for it. If Fault Mother was the first choice penalty taker for Newcastle, I would probably keep him, but yeah, Frank Golding, I'd say go for it. What do you think? Should I do what do you think I should do? I have one free transfer, so let's have a look at this team. Single solid game playing at home against Sunderland. Timber, Coyote, Guehi, Rodon, and Van Dijk. In midfield, Saka, Minthe, Phil Foden, Bruno Fernandes, and Gordon, Thiago, and Erling Haaland. So on the bench, Mark Guiu and probably Rodon as well. And it's close between Coyote and Guehi. But seeing that you have a solid bench, you have at least 2 defenders that I wouldn't be afraid of starting in game week 17. That's definitely good enough. So yeah, seeing that you only have 1 free transfer, I think this definitely is a save, to be honest. So save your transfer and have 2 free transfers heading into game week 18. So I would bench Dubravka. I would bench one of Coyote and Guehi together with Rodon and Guiu. But other than that, I think it's a strong starting 11. Timber would start Van Dijk as well. Saka, Minthe, Phil Foden, Bruno Fernandes, and Anthony Gordon. And up front, Thiago and Erling Haaland. So a 3-5-2. I think this potentially can give a green arrow and hopefully give a green arrow in game week 17. Sundry, only Arsenal FC has played with me this game for 2 years. It's his 3rd now, while the others first time rookies. But when I had a look at your league, it was like you were 75 points ahead, but the runner-up and those other guys, they were pretty close to each other, right? I think you had something like 900 and all of them had 800 something. But of course, it's pretty even in your league. I think this can change pretty fast. Just one good or one bad game week can still make a huge difference. Thanks. Hopefully get a green. Need Gordon to perform. Yeah, and it's not the best fixture, but at home against Chelsea might be a game week for Anthony Gordon to actually step up and deliver some FPL points. Might get a penalty, of course. Yeah, they are, but Arsenal FC has experience. I'm sure he will be too. Experience, of course, is really important in this game. So especially now heading into Christmas, and will be a lot of deadlines. So will be a huge advantage just keeping track of all of the deadlines and remembering to set your team up, making transfers, of course, changing your captain to the best possible option, stuff like that. So 5 deadlines in like 20 days. I think it's all the way until game week 21 will be played till the start of January, and then we have like 2 weeks until game week 22, something like that. So this is my team at the moment. I will probably save a transfer. Will of course wait on use on Thiago. I actually don't have any funds available in the bank, so hopefully I can just play Thiago I like the fixture, Wolves away. My plan is definitely to roll a transfer and have 2 free transfers heading into game week 18. Hi, I'm rolling with this good Sanchez, Timber, Hincapié, Collins, Bruno Fernandes, Minte, Saka, Phil Foden, Thiago Welbeck, and up front together with Erling Haaland, the captain, Dubravka, Guehi, Esteve, and King on the bench. Definitely good enough to save, in my opinion. The only worry is if Thiago is out. Esteve, probably not the best option playing away against Bournemouth. Guehi, I think, is good enough for a first bench. So seeing that you have Guehi, you will probably be able to save a transfer this game week. It kind of depends on the news on Thiago, of course, if he's definitely ruled out of game week 17, but I don't really think that we will get this information. But yeah, if you only have 1 free transfer, I think you definitely should save, trust your team, and hope that if you need your bench, Guehi will be enough for game week 17. Radu Gavriluta, thanks for joining in. My team idea, I have 5 free transfers. Ooh. Let's see. $73 points on a free hit for Radu Gavriluta in game week 16. So let's have a look at this team as well. Thank you. I only have 1 free transfer, so 1 roll. Yeah, it makes sense to roll the transfer if you only have 1 free transfer. I think Guehi first on the bench is good enough this game week, to be honest. Nikos, let's have a look at your team as well. Just want to have a look at Radu Gavriluta's team as well. He played his free hit, picked up a green arrow in game week 16. But if this was your free hit, probably don't make much sense having a look at your free hit team and planning and giving advice on transfers. So I'll probably go back to your game week 15 team. This is probably more what you will look at your team selection screen ahead of game week 17. So Haaland, Welbeck, Jared Bowen up front. NGI definitely want to sell Munoz as well. Dan Burn, I think Dan Burn is a sell. I think I read today that he will be out for up to 3 to 4 weeks, and this means six games at least. So with this team, so this is obviously your game week 15 team. You might have sold some of those players, but my advice would be to get rid of NGI, Munoz, and Dan Burn, seeing that you have 5 free transfers. You can potentially do something like Munoz to Van Hecke, probably 4.6 centre back from Brighton. Good fixture in game week 17 as well, playing at home against Sunderland. NGI. There are a lot of options. But if you do Dan Burn and Munoz, two cheaper defenders, you can potentially upgrade NGI to bring in Bruno Fernandes. Cole Palmer is probably a bit too much. You need to have some funds available. But seeing that you don't have Saka, you probably have some funds in the bank with this team. So it's probably... I would be really tempted by Cole Palmer at this point. Big differential. 2 home games for Chelsea coming up. So if you're able to bring Cole Palmer in, that would be really interesting. You ever thought of doing live stream watch-alongs? I have actually tried this twice. The thing is that both times I've done this, it has been Monday Night Football, where I've had FPL assets playing. I remember watching West Ham game with Pakta and Jared Bowen in my team, but they both blanked, so it was really frustrating. I think this actually was against Brentford. Which game week could this have been? Probably around game week 10, 11, something like that. Igor Thiago, he actually scored a brace in this game, but I did not have him in my team. To get Cole Palmer, I would need to downgrade a striker to Guiu. It's definitely something to at least consider. I will go for this option myself. I will downgrade one of my forwards to Guiu or one of my midfielders to someone like Deveni from Crystal Palace, priced at 4.3, just to like maximize the value in my starting 11. We usually don't need 15 strong players in our squads. It's usually enough with 13, probably 14, seeing that there are a lot of deadlines in the next couple of weeks. Probably doing Welbeck and Enzo Fernandez to Phil Foden and Guiu. Thoughts? It makes sense to get Phil Foden in. He can potentially damage the rank a lot. So while Phil Foden is in the form that we see at this, like we've seen from Phil Foden recently, I think it makes sense. But selling both Enzo Fernandez and Welbeck on penalties for Brighton, Enzo Fernandez on some set pieces, just to get Phil Foden. So Guiu, he's like, if you really think that Phil Foden will continue delivering at the same rate as he has done, it's definitely a yes. But I think selling both Welbeck and Enzo Fernandez, probably this can... The thing is that both Welbeck and Enzo are still solid options. I think Phil Foden is definitely an upgrade, but seeing that you will get Guiu in, I like the idea. Welbeck hasn't started the last 2 games. I think I haven't really checked. I actually made a video about this. Can't really remember which players are traveling to Afcon from Brighton. probably no one that will affect Welbeck's game time. So this is why Welbeck probably isn't a really great FPL asset. He is injury prone. We know this from earlier, so when there are a lot of fixtures, I think that Welbeck, we can't really depend on him to start week in, week out. So considering that we're in December, selling Welbeck probably makes sense. Bringing Phil Foden in, really good option. Thing is that he might actually be benched or rested in a couple of fixtures himself, but potential value in Phil Foden is probably worth it considering Man City's fixtures. So yeah. Enzo Fernandez, he will probably play a bit deeper as well now with Cole Palmer back from injury, taking more of the set pieces as well. So Welbeck, Enzo out to bring in Phil Foden. I'd say this is a good idea. So let's see if there are any other teams posted on X. I think we're covered most of those teams. This was Radu Gavriluta. Let's get my team back on the screen. As mentioned a couple of times, I will probably just save my transfer ahead of game week 17. Made 5 transfers last game week. I said this earlier as well. I was really frustrated with Rice, to be honest. I sold Paqueta to bring in Rice. A really good fixture for Arsenal in game week 16, playing at home against Wolves, but Rice, he blanked. I don't really like the fixture in game week 17, playing away against Everton. But hopefully Rice can at least get defensive contribution points against them this game week. And hopefully Arsenal can keep a clean sheet. So this would mean 5 points for Rice, 2 for playing 60 plus minutes, 1 for keeping a clean sheet, and an additional 2 points for defensive contributions. Saka is my vice captain at the moment. Erling Haaland is, I would say that he is nailed on to be my captain this game week. Erling Haaland's effective ownership will be really high in game week 17. I think that most of the active managers that haven't used their triple captainship yet will probably play their triple captain on Erling Haaland in game week 17. So his effective ownership will be really high. So the safest option would definitely be to to captain Erling Haaland in game week 17, but I'm not like choosing my captain because of safety. I generally think that this is the best option as well. West Ham playing away against Man City, I think it's a really, really good fixture for Man City, and Erling Haaland, he looked better in game week 16 compared to what we've seen in some of the other game weeks as well. So Erling Haaland, my game week 17 captain. Burn Munoz, NGI, Welbeck, Gibbs White, and SA. 2 Vandenberg, Keane, Cole Palmer, Guiu, Cunha, and Jeremy Pino for a -4. Wow. Okay, so Dan Burn, he is injured. Munoz is injured. NGI, he has gone. Welbeck, it's a rotation risk. Gibbs White, SA. I think SA is another player that is potentially a sell, to be honest. He hasn't really done that much if we take away the 3 goals he scored. Was it game week 13? Game week 12? Cunha, he looked good against Bournemouth. Cole Palmer is getting Cole Palmer. I like the idea of getting Cole Palmer in early. Keane, really good fixtures for Everton coming up. Vandenberg, really good value, 4.5. He actually picked up defensive contribution points in game week 16, so he has the potential to be a really good value asset. So Munoz, NGI, Welbeck, Gibbs White, and SA2, Vandenberg, Keane, Palmer, Guiu, and Cunha. Jeremy for a -4. Yes, but is it possible to actually avoid the -4? Can you like keep Gibbs White and avoid Gibbs White to Jeremy transfer? If it's possible, of course, but if you need the funds for other moves by downgrading Gibbs White to Jeremy, it's probably worth it. But if it's possible to keep Gibbs White and wait a game week with the Jeremy transfer, that's I would have 1.1 in the bank. I definitely like the moves. A couple of those transfers, I would just do those transfers tonight. Munoz and Jai, we know for sure that they will not play in game week 17. Probably not until game week 21. So this is my team. I actually have Vandenberg in. I have Van Hecke as well. I think both of them are really good value. I think Van Hecke's price has gone up, but still really good value. Good fixture in game week 17 as well, playing at home against Sunderland. Good fixture for Brentford as well, away against Wolves. So I think that if you need a new defender, if you want to save some funds by going for cheaper option in defense, like in Radu Gavriluta's case, if you have Munoz, if you still have Gabriel, Calafiori, players like this, bringing in a 4.5 to 5 million defender can make you upgrade in other areas. So Timber is in for me as well, playing against Everton. Hopefully Arsenal can keep a clean sheet against them. Phil Foden, Rice, Saka, Bruno Fernandes, Erling Haaland, my captain, together with Raul. So hopefully Raul can come good this game week. It was really, really frustrating watching Fulham play and Wilson get all the FPL points while Raul Jimenez, he blanked. I have Thiago, yellow flagged, got a knock, did not play midweek for Brentford in the EFL Cup, but hopefully he will be ready to start in game week 17. With 1.1 in the bank, you could of course go for a more expensive defender. Probably up to 5.6, right? I really like Guardiola, but his price has gone up from 5.8 to 6 million. At least he's 5.9. I haven't really checked his price today. Let's have a quick look. Guardiola is still 5.9, but it's probably a bit too expensive. The thing is that at the moment in the price bracket from around 5 to 5.5, other than probably the Newcastle centre back Tiav, I don't really think that there are that many players better than the likes of Van Hecke and Vandenberg. Probably Anderson, the Fulham centre back, should be in the discussion as well, considering that Brighton, Brentford, and Fulham all have decent fixtures. And the thing is that if you have like defenders priced at 4.5 to 5 million, it's a bit easier to just bench them. They rotate fairly well as well. So for me at the moment, it makes sense to have defender priced 4 points, like Van Hecke 4.6, and just bench him in the tougher fixtures, rather than having a player like Pedro Porro, 5.5 million. You would want to play those players every game week, right? So my advice would be to save the 1.1, keep it in the bank, and just go for a 4.5 to 5 million defender instead. My team is set up in a way that I will play Van Hecke, Van de Ven, and Vandenberg, and have a rotation between them. So when Brighton have a tough fixture, I will play Van de Ven. When Brentford have a tough fixture, Van de Ven will come in for him. I will play Timber this game week. Arsenal, they are actually the bookies' favorites to keep a clean sheet this game week, playing away at It's not Goodison Park, it's Hill Dickinson. That's the new name on the Everton Stadium, right? Hill Dickinson Stadium. Arsenal, they are the favorites. 54% chance of a clean sheet. Man City is second. Well, actually, first time this season, Bournemouth, they are top 3 for any time. Not any time, but for clean sheets in game week 17. Do I need to do anything with this team? In goal, Raya, Lacroix, Van Dijk, Anderson, Lacroix once again, double Lacroix, so that's probably someone else. Rice, Saka, Phil Foden, Bruno, it's probably Bruno Fernandes, Thiago, and Erling Haaland. On the bench, Dubravka, Thiav, Guiu, and Dewsbury Hall. Senesi instead. Yeah, Senesi, definitely start Senesi this game week. Good fixture for Bournemouth. Solid fixture for Anderson as well, playing at home against Nottingham Forest. Lacroix is in midfield of Rice, Saka, Foden, Bruno Fernandes, Thiago, and Haaland. 0.9 in the bank and 2 free transfers available. Do I need to make a transfer with this team? I think it kind of depends on Thiago and his availability. So I think he will start, but if we get the confirmation tomorrow in the press conference that Thiago definitely will miss a couple of games, I think he's actually someone we need to sell. But if Thiago is fit, I think you definitely can save a transfer with this team and have 3 free transfers heading into game week 18. So it kind of depends on what information we get on the press conference tomorrow. Radu Gavrluta, or should I get Bruno and a 5.5 midfielder instead of Cunha and Jeremy? It's definitely something to consider. So, Isaac Magis, pay attention to the press conference tomorrow. If Thiago is out, consider selling him. If Thiago looks likely to start in game week 17, I think you definitely can save a transfer. Radu Gavrluta, Bruno Fernandes, and a 5.5 midfielder, or Cunha and Jeremy. The thing is that Crystal Palace, I know that they save all of their players tonight playing in the Europa Conference League. Let's have a look. The Palace, they are trailing against their opponents in the Europa Conference League. Kupion Polusera, it's 1-2, but they are actually resting all of the players that usually play and get minutes in the Premier League. Bruno Fernandes and a 5.5 midfielder instead of Cunha and Jeremy. So this was the reason why I just remember to check Jeremy. He is a good option at the moment. I think he's solid. But Bruno Fernandes, I rate him. I think he's a better option compared to Cunha, even though Cunha will. I think he will do well going forward, but Bruno Fernandes, I think he will do even better. So I think it's actually worth spending the extra funds to get Bruno Fernandes. He's in form as well, can pick up defensive contributions. He was close in game week 16. I think he got 10 defcons, and he has gotten 11 in a lot of occasions this season. Missed a couple of penalties, so Bruno Fernandes, he could actually have been the highest scoring midfielder. So probably Bruno Fernandes and Dewsbury Hall, possibly Elliot Anderson. I think Everton from game week 18, they have really, really good fixtures. So if you don't need to play him this game week against Arsenal, you can do something like Bruno Fernandes and Dewsbury Hall, and actually bench Dewsbury Hall for game week 17. I would definitely recommend this instead of getting Cunha and Jeremy, to be honest. So as mentioned, I'm pretty much locked in. Dewsbury Hall is yellow flag. It's something with his hamstring, but I think it was said that it wasn't that severe, so he might actually play in game week 17. If that's one of the reasons why I think that if you really need that midfielder to play this game week, I wouldn't necessarily recommend Dewsbury Hall. But if you can bench him this game week and have him ready for game week 18 and onwards, that would be a really good transfer. But if you're relying on this player to start in game week 17, I would go for another midfielder, possibly Elliot Anderson. The thing is that there aren't that many options around that price point. Let's have a look. Wilson, his price has gone up to 5.6. Tavernier, he is 5.5, but I don't really rate Bournemouth's fixtures after game week 17. Bournemouth, they actually have some tough games coming up. The options are pretty slim. 5.5 midfielders. as mentioned, if you don't really need this player to play and start in game week 17, Dewsbury Hall would definitely be one to consider. Other solid options: Elliot Anderson, Granit Xhaka from Sunderland. Could be decent options as well. They will, in some game weeks, of course, they will blank, but they will consistently keep on getting 4 and 5 points. So for that price, they are still solid options. They will never be captain options, of course, but you will have other captain options in your team. So I think players like Elliot Anderson and Xhaka probably are solid options at the moment, and especially seeing that this will let you upgrade in midfield to bring in Bruno Fernandes. I think those are good moves. Van Hecke or Keane. Well, for game week 17, I would like Van Hecke, but going forward, I would probably say Keane. Let's see. I had a look at the fixtures earlier today, and from game week 18, Everton, they have really good fixtures. So in game week 18, playing against Burnley, Nottingham Forest, then they have Brentford at home, Wolves at home, Aston Villa away in game week 22, and in game week 23 they play at home against Leeds. So really good fixtures for Everton. I think this is not talked about that much, but Everton, they actually have a fixture swing after this game week. So I don't like the fixture in game week 17, but from game week 18 and onwards, the fixture looks really good for Everton. So if you don't need the player for game week 17, I would definitely go for Michael Keane. But if you need the player to play this game week, I would go Van Hecke. I like the fixture for Brighton in game week 17 at home against Sunderland. So this is my team for game week 17. My plan is to save a transfer. My captain will most probably be Erling Haaland. I will pay close attention to the press conference tomorrow. Will be really interesting to see if we get any news on Thiago. If Thiago is confirmed to be out, we'll start considering replacements, but I'm really hoping that he can start in game week 17. Good fixture for Brentford playing against Wolves, so hopefully I can save a transfer heading into game week 17. Not Nepo Heather, mine weighing in on my massive benching dilemma. Definitely head over to X, post a picture of your team, or just write your benching dilemma in the chat. Whatever suits you the best. I need the defender to start. Could Thiav be better? The thing is that Thiav, he's kind of similar to Keane, to be honest. Around the same price. Tough game in game week 17, but fairly good fixtures from game week. I think for Newcastle's case, it's from game week 19 and onwards. So out of those three options, Van Hecke, Thiav, and Keane, I would probably go Van Hecke if you really need him to start in game week 17. But as mentioned, Everton with really, really good fixtures from game week 18 and onwards. Not Nepo benching dilemma, so let me just check. Did you actually post in the chat earlier? Can't really find anything. The thing is that with Van Hecke, as we've seen so far this season, he has attacking threat as well. So even though the fixture is not the best, he can actually pick up both defensive contribution points and attacking returns. So I definitely think that Van Hecke is really, really good value at the moment, even though his price has gone up. Is it 4.6? I think I brought him in at 4.4. Would you do any of those moves? I would definitely do Munoz and the defender moves, Burn and Munoz. Definitely safe to sell, and Jai as well, seeing that he has left. I haven't really checked the price changes in the last couple of hours. So Munoz is not dropping tonight. NGI is safe as well. Dunburn is also safe. So we should do any of these moves now. Not necessarily. It doesn't really look like your players will drop in price tonight. It will most probably happen tomorrow. Munoz, he will definitely drop Friday night ahead of the deadline. I think players like NGI, Danburn potentially can drop as well, but no need to do those moves tonight. Also, for some reason, these moves seem very solid to me, but not very exciting. I think it's kind of exciting getting Cole Palmer in. He is a big differential in the FPL community. It's not like his ownership is like, it's not 2% owned, but he's owned by a lot of dead teams. He was one of the most selected players ahead of game week 1. So Cole Palmer definitely is a big differential among active FPL managers at the moment. So 2 home games for Chelsea coming up, on penalties, most set pieces for Chelsea. I think those moves make sense. I posted my team on Twitter. Seems like I could bench just about everyone in my team. Sounds interesting. Let's have a look. Not Nepo with a benching dilemma ahead of game week 17. So we need to get the bench in as well. So with Petrovic in goal, Oops. Ooh. So I couldn't quite quick fit the goalkeeper into the screen, sorry about that, but Petrovic is the goalkeeper in this lineup. Not Nepo having some problems deciding which players should drop to the bench ahead of game week 17. So in defense, Richards against Leeds, O'Reilly and Timber, Bruno Fernandes, Phil Foden, Wilson and Rodgers, Mateta, Erling, Haaland and Ekitiki. On the bench, Dubravka. I think it definitely makes sense to play Petrovic, considering the fixture and considering that Dubravka plays for Burnley. Minte, of course, it's tempting to play Minte in game week 17. De Kuiper as well. So if anything, it's I can see the temptation of playing Minte, but I think it makes sense having the same front seven as you actually have at the moment. Minte at home against Sunderland, it's really tempting playing Minte at home against Sunderland. I think it's really hard to bench some of your players in the front seven, but De Kuiper instead of Richards would probably. I mean, even Ballard looks good to play as well. I would definitely just keep Ballard third on my bench, to be honest. But I could see it's not the worst fixture, of course. But I would probably consider something like Richards to De Kuiper. Hope that Dominic Calvert-Lewin will score against Crystal Palace. De Kuiper has some attacking threat as well. He's had a bit of a more advanced role for Brighton in the last couple of games as well, so I think that he potentially can be a really good asset in game week 17. So Richards to the bench and start De Kuiper would probably be my advice. Other than this team looks really good. No transfers needed. I think it's a really solid team ahead of game week 17. Mateta has been a really frustrating own, of course, but I don't necessarily see any reason for selling Mateta before the game against Leeds. Should I get Cherki in for SA this week? I really like Ryan Cherki, not only because it's really fun to watch him, he is a good FPL asset as well. SA, kind of a similar player, but I think considering both players' form at the moment, so Cherki, he is full of confidence at the moment. He will start in game week 17 at home against West Ham. So yes, I think it's a good move selling SA to bring in Cherki. Arsenal playing away against Everton, not the best fixture, so it's a yes from me. Problem with the Kuiper is I'm not even sure he's going to play at all with Mitoma back. Didn't even make it onto the field in game week 16. So yeah, that is of course a worry. So definitely, if you have doubts over the Kuiper's minutes, it makes sense to just start Richards. He will definitely play. Did not play tonight in the Europa Conference League. So Richards, he has actually been rested for some midweek games earlier, but the safest option would definitely be to play Richards, considering the high ownership for the Crystal Palace defense. Even if Munoz is injured, Crystal Palace defenders are still quite popular. The likes of Guehi. There have actually been some transfers in for Klein. I've seen, especially on X, some FPL managers do Munoz to Klein, but yeah, considering that there will be a lot of managers playing both Lacroix, Guehi this game week, the safest option would probably be to just play Richards. It's not the worst fixture playing against Leeds, of course, for Crystal Palace. The thing that is a bit worrying with Ballard is the fact that Sunderland, they have actually sent 11 players to AFCON ahead of this game week. How will this affect the Sunderland squad? So those 11 players traveling to AFCON, it's not like all of them are regular starters for Sunderland, but surely this will affect the squad in some way, having that many players traveling. Leeds have been on quite good form and free scoring at the moment, though. Yeah, Calvert-Lewin has actually been quite good. I think he's actually second. I checked the expected goal involvement stats while making the graphics for my team selection video. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has actually been pretty impressive in the last 4 game weeks. So it's kind of hard decision, but I think that the safest option is probably just to start Richards. Considering that the Crystal Palace defense will be heavily owned in game week 17. He can, of course, pick up defensive contributions and he can get some attacking returns from set pieces. It's a really close call, to be honest. I like the Kuiper as well if he starts. Only worry with him is that there is a big if, as you mentioned, with Mitoma back from injury. So maybe we'll get some information about injuries tomorrow from the Brighton camp. Maybe this will make the decision a bit easier. So I will pay close attention to the press conference tomorrow, especially Brentford. I have Thiago in my team. He's yellow flagged. If he's ruled out for game week 17, I will have to consider selling him ahead of game week 17. I only have 1 free transfer. My plan is to save this transfer and have 2 free transfers heading into game week 18. I will have another live tomorrow. So if you're interested, join that one as well. We will have a lot of fresh information from the press conferences, and hopefully it will be easier to make decisions like not Nepo's benching dilemma ahead of game week 17. So to round this up, this is my team. My plan is, as mentioned, to save a transfer. The captaincy is on Erling Haaland and will probably stay there. I have Elliot Anderson on my bench. So if Thiago misses out, I can potentially just play Elliot Anderson. But if we get the confirmation that Thiago will miss a couple of games, I will consider selling him ahead of the deadline. Thank you so much. Looks like I'll be thinking about this one right up to the deadline. In those close calls like this with low value players like Richards and the Kuiper, it's really, really annoying if you get this one wrong. Omar Ashur, hello, I don't have the money to get Foden. Do you think Cherky is a good punt? Yes, I actually talked about Ryan Cherky 10 minutes ago, I think, when we consider his form at the moment. He's full of confidence, really good fixture for Man City. Doku is injured as well. I think that he will get decent minutes going forward. So, yes, I think if you can't afford Foden, I think that Ryan Cherky is a good punt at the moment. Doku, he is confirmed to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. Will potentially miss 4, potentially 5 games for Man City. This is good for both Phil Foden and Cherky. So as mentioned, I will pay close attention to the press conference tomorrow, and I will have another Q&A stream tomorrow night. So if you're interested, tune in tomorrow as well. So if you're not available for a stream tomorrow night, best of luck for game week 17 and have a nice weekend. Thanks all for joining in. Please give this stream a like and subscribe to the channel for more FPL content.